Hiya folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, joining me today with a returning guest, very, very long time, Dan Ryan.
I'm alive!
Here and there people say to me, oh, how's Dan doing? You know, is he alright? Is he going to do any more? And then you said, I've had an idea for a video. I thought, oh, okay. Because obviously you've had a lot going on in your life and you know, things like that. So I says, okay then. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the good old days of Doctor Who.
We are.
Now, I wanted to do something about Doctor Who recently, but then I realised it was probably just going to be some crazy... No, it probably wouldn't even be a crazy rant now. It'd just be something completely, totally indifferent. And I'm sure I can put up clips. I probably will put them actually into this of me and you. From that point onwards, it all went horribly, horribly wrong. And anybody that says it's because they changed her into a woman, no, it's got fuck all to do with that. It's because the writing shit, the acting shit, the people that run the show and act on the show don't give a damn about what it stands for, the history of the show. She didn't even bother to research, and she never even watched it before.
She's trying to like imitate the older Doctors.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. Because she's not a man.
Right. You know,
they need to write her like for a mad woman.
Exactly. Yeah. As from the point of view of being fans, of saying, look, this is what they've done to something which has worked perfectly. You know, that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. Doctor Who is a good example of that. 50 plus years before they started really, you know, laying the agenda on thick. You and I are slightly in a different place now because you're still watching Doctor Who, aren't you?
And I'm enjoying it quite a lot.
I know.
And I don't care.
I'm done.
You hate it and don't care.
Watch it. I don't watch it anymore now. No, I've seen enough of clips to know that it's not my thing anymore. And somebody did say to me, well, you know, can you really have an opinion on it if you haven't watched it? So I did watch. What was the episode?
You watched Boom and 73 Yards?
Yeah. Boom mainly because it was Stephen Moffat, and I've still got some respect for Stephen Moffat because he did a thing for his I can't remember what it was. It was a university that he went to, and somebody asked him about the current state of the media and stuff like that. And although he's not like, oh God, this political correctness, so identity politics is rubbish, he did say Doctor Who should appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
And I respect him for that. The other people involved in Doctor Who don't want to make Doctor Who for everybody. But today we're going back to David Tennant.
We are.
So I don't know if you want to tell our viewers about this. Is it an app or
it is a website
you found? Yeah, it was really great.
It is the Metabellus 2?
Yeah.
Metabellus 2?
I'll put a screenshot of it.
Metabellus 2 podcast website, and they have basically every Doctor Who story on here, and you can basically pick which one you'll show it again on there, which one you prefer, and then out of 2, and then you keep doing it for ages, and then it eventually gives you a list ranking all of the episodes.
It's like a glorified calculator, really.
It is,
isn't it? Yeah. So it gets you to choose. Like you have 2 episodes on the screen. You say which one do I prefer more?
Yeah.
And it's really good because you can do it by season. You can do it by Doctor, and it'll group every episode that they've been in it.
Or
you
could be a psychopath and do every
everything.
Single Doctor.
And you'd be there for days.
You'd be there for days.
I mean, I did one with Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, and Capaldi. And because obviously that was when Doctor Who ended for me. And it was hours. I was sat there just, yeah.
Well, when I did the David Tennant one, we're going to be talking about the top 10 of today. I really spent a while on it because I'm like, oh, this one, that one, this one. Because I am rewatching Doctor Who, which I haven't for years at the minute. Which has probably changed my opinions on some from what it was before. And it's the perfect time, really.
I think it is, yeah, because
it's airing at the minute.
Yeah,
so there is interest there,
and there's going to be people who like Doctor Who, what used to be Doctor Who, and they don't like it now, and they probably are still looking for people that are interested in the old stuff, talking about the old stuff, because irrespective of what take you might have on where David Tennant's gone now with things and specials that he came back for the 60th and all that, I'm not going to get into that here. I think in this little capsule, people sometimes forget just how popular at that point in time Doctor Who was.
Yeah.
And back in the day, Tom Baker and all that, it was popular then.
Yeah.
It kind of way, and it became like it's always had its audience. A lot of people watched it still, even so. But I think it became kind of like the cliche of it became like this niche thing.
Yeah.
But it did really go mainstream, didn't it? In that from that sort of David Tennant era onwards. Maybe it was already there with Eccleston. I think it might have been even at that point, but
I'm not sure. I was like 5.
Right, okay.
So
I would say definitely from Matt Smith and the 50th at that point, because they were.
Yeah.
It was like massive all over the world then, wasn't it? It wasn't just the UK anymore at that point.
Yeah.
But certainly those end of season 4 episodes were pulling in millions and millions of people. I mean, you couldn't even hope to get that many people watching a TV programme nowadays, and especially with streaming and all that. You just to have that many bums on seats live watching the telly as it was going out, so
it happens occasionally with stuff on streaming.
Yeah.
Like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And Wednesday and the posh people pull on Bridgerton.
Well, yeah. Anyway, shall we dive in?
We shall.
So there was 37
Yeah.
episodes on my list.
There was 40
40
on
on
mine.
yours because you included the 60th
Yeah.
specials with David Tennant. I didn't. I know they probably would have rated quite low for me, but so let's start with. Shall we? So what we're going to do is, if one of our episodes is higher, we're going to say wait.
Yeah,
We'll
talk about
it
that ahead.
in a bit. Yeah, and what I'll try and do as well is I will try and put up on screen. Do like a little fancy graphic thing and put our
To show our
top 10 so that people can keep track of it here and there. I won't have it on the screen the whole time. Let's see if we surprise each other. I think one or two might surprise you of mine. And so if you go, let's start with your number 10 then.
My number 10, The End of Time.
Okay, it's not in my top 10.
Where's it on yours?
It's number 13. So
so not far
nearly
off.
there.
There's always been like the kind of intrigue about sort of the Time Lords and Gallifrey and that kind of thing, and then with John Sim as the Master, who is extremely good in the role.
Oh god, yeah.
And it's got so much to like. I think.
Yeah.
Really, it ties everything up nicely for David Tennant.
It's his last one, isn't it?
He gets the farewell. Well, last one until it's not.
No, last one for me. Last one for me.
Like
Capaldi walks off into the snow and that's it. That's when my brain copes with it. So I got.
So he's got his whole farewell tour, and it's got
that
Wilfred.
End bit is great, isn't it? Sorry, Wilfred. First,
Wilfred is amazing, isn't it?
That scene where he's like the tears and all that, he's like, "Oh, don't start,"
Yeah.
There's a real menace to it, isn't there? With the dun 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 with the 4 drums as well. Which, looking back in hindsight, was predicted way back, wasn't it?
But then, I think just the state of him as a person at that point, he's gone from thinking he was a god in the waters of Mars to being broken kind of. Yeah. Now he's sort of ready to die, and he's a broken man kind of.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a lot really good in the episode.
And Donna Noble back, my favourite companion of that era.
Yeah.
Of the sort of 2005 onward, and got a chap and all that before she got with the programme. And it's just, and that question of how, which again was screwed up I think in the 60th, but I don't want to get into that. That idea of how would the Doctor and Donna interact, because she'd remember everything again.
Yeah.
Really well handled that was.
Yeah.
He put that little thing in her head, didn't he, to protect her and all that, and then, like you say, his little farewell tour to everybody at the end. Goes back to Billy Piper, doesn't he? Rose to New Year's Eve before that year when he would have picked her up in the TARDIS. So Martha and Mickey and all these great characters. And for people who say that there wasn't any diversity in Doctor Who, well, bollocks to that, it was all back there, wasn't it? Yeah, great characters.
And then have it that like the whole time he talks about the Time Lords like they're amazing and that, and finds out they're coming back
and the psychopaths.
and
well, more to the point is
and that's the
Timothy
only
Dalton,
time,
isn't it? That's the
but that's the only time that forces him to actually take up arms.
Yeah,
like
he's got his gun ready.
He takes a gun, which he has never really ever took, apart from in the Matt Smith one with the Angels, where he shoots them.
Yes,
but he's not ready to kill, which he is in that episode.
I'm sure there will be people here that know Doctor Who far better than we do. Encyclopedias, like I am with Star Trek. You know, they'll say, "Oh yeah, he had a gun when he did this, and he had a gun when he did that." Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. But in terms of the gravitas of that moment, when he really, you know, it's
like I'll never take a gun, and then finds out they're coming back, takes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good scene.
Timothy Dalton's great in it.
He's great in everything, though, to be fair.
Spitting. I love that video. It's like, slinging his phlegm across the camera. You know, it's great stuff, yeah. It's some brilliant stuff. Again, for me, it's been a while since I've watched it, but there's so much that I can remember about it. I'm sure there's things I'm not remembering, but yeah, it's a sad thing, isn't it? Especially the end, especially regeneration. You know, all that just for Wilf, really. Although, when saying that, Wilf did get himself in that situation, and it shows
but he was saving someone else.
So it shows the type of character Wilf is. You know, that he would potentially put himself at risk. And some people said, well, did he really know what kind of risk he was getting himself into, getting in that chamber?
Well, yeah, not quite.
yeah. But there's so many sad moments there.
Yeah,
it really does. You know, I mean, it does bring a tear to your eye. You know, it's really.
It used to, when I watched it younger, like I'd be really sad at the end. But I suppose after him coming back and then getting a happier ending, it doesn't make it
for you. That doesn't exist in my world.
I don't think it makes it as sad anymore because you're like, well, he got to live happy with Donna and that, so.
Well, that's something we'll agree to.
Oh yeah, we're gonna spoil like everything, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now we've spoilt the end of the David Tennant era without first discussion. So
both David Tennant eras. There's also like finishing like the Ood story as well in it, which
the Dr. Donna as well, all that business. Yeah.
Because the Ood are actually really good characters.
Yeah, they are.
I feel like they aren't talked about quite enough.
People always go to Weeping Angels, the Daleks, Cybermen to some degree, but they get overlooked a lot. But those stories are great.
Like they're not villains; they're just
no
slaves basically.
And they've had their heads messed with, like in
Planet of the Ood,
and the Satan Pit 2-parter as well.
Yeah,
you know, that's yeah. So anything else, and we'll move on to our right. So. I think this might be our first little surprise for you.
All right.
My number 10 is The Unicorn and the Wasp.
All right, that is 24th.
24th, yeah. I really love this episode. It's the perfect Dr. Dollar episode, I think. It's a caper. It's a good laugh. I love all the chin stuff at the beginning and all that, you know. I mean, it's sometimes, and you know me and my tasting things, sometimes there's things that everybody loves and I don't care for, and then there's things that everybody hates or like a handful of people love and I love them. Like when I got you to watch Eraserhead and with David Lynch and you was not interested for it, and I was a classic, you know. But the cheesiness of this episode, like the and all that, you know, and the way the wasp dies in the lake at the end and all that. I think it's brilliant. I love. I'm forgetting the name of the actress who plays Agatha Christie in it. She's really good in that.
She is very good in it.
I love the whole sort of 1920s, 1930s look with the old cars and everything, and all that. You know, explaining what happened in real life because the Doctor was responsible. You know, that disappearing period in Agatha Christie's life where she just. You know, I know there's probably more mundane reasons for why it happened, but it's, I don't know, there's not really a lot I want to say about it, but I do know that when I was comparing it against other ones, I thought, this is a cracking good episode.
It is a very good episode.
I love the bit where he's poisoned with the cyanide, and he's like trying to shout out for different things for her to finger. It's like, is it a play? You know, like, Mummy! Like, you know, it's just, it's great. It really is. They just bounce off each other so well. And I think one of the problems sometimes with it's a major problem they've had with companions over the years. It's either like, I mean, I'm not going to get into the recent stuff, but like Chibnall, like the fam and all that doesn't. I like one companion with a couple of others coming in and out, and then they go. But the Doctor then travels mainly with the one. I like that dynamic.
Yeah.
I'm old school in that I do love the flirtiness between Clara and Matt Smith. You know, I know a lot of people don't like Clara, but I love that. I love the unrequited love with Rose with David Tennant. But above and beyond, like, I just want a mate. You just want to mate. You know? He wants a travelling companion, doesn't he? Yeah. And when he gets too emotionally involved, I think sometimes it can take something away from that relationship. Yeah. But it's bang on. It's bang on. And I'll talk more about it because there are other episodes, I'm sure, that we've both got higher up in our top 10 that touch on that relationship. Yeah. But yeah, Unicorn and the Wasp is a great episode.
It is very good.
So that's it really for me. So shall we go to your number 9?
My number 9 is... You know, it's funny, we were briefly talking earlier on.
And I think I know what you're going to say.
About the fact that on this website, there is a 3-part story that is split into 2. So my number 9 is The Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords.
Okay. Right, I think... we'll leave it because
you have it ahead.
I have it higher than that.
Yeah.
And I thought you was going to say the other episode, but
Utopia. If Utopia was on this website combined in, it probably would have been higher.
Okay. Is it higher than for you? Is it higher than the 2-parter?
What, Utopia?
Yeah.
No, Utopia.
Okay. Right then. So let's leave Sound of Drums and last. Is it that one? Yeah.
Sound of Drums and the Last of the Time Lords.
Because my number 9 is Utopia.
Oh, right.
So that's a good lead-in. So we can talk about that first.
Yeah.
And then we can. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So.
I mean, Utopia is great. What did I have as... Where's my Utopia? My Utopia is 13th.
All right. That's pretty... That's almost there then, yeah.
I love Utopia.
Yeah. Derek Jacobi.
Yeah.
As the Master returning there. Has no memory of the fact that he's the Master. And in the pocket watch. And,
yeah.
What else? It's been a while since I've watched it, but...
I mean... I can't remember when it aired, but I was a little kid, and I just started watching the show, like
2007.
Yeah. So yeah. I'd pretty much just started watching it, and like I was like, the TARDIS is gone. What's he gonna do? Yeah. At the end, that cliffhanger, I remember I was like, oh my god, what's he gonna do?
Yeah.
It's just like. They're left screwed at the end of the episode, basically.
Bit of a cop-out with the time manipulator thing of Captain Jack's in it as well. That's another great thing about it. Yeah.
And there's quite a lot about him as well, because that's the first time you see him since he became immortal.
Yeah, because obviously you've got the Face of Bow thing, the Yana, the message, you are not alone, which is the revelation in that, isn't it? You are not alone, and that they realise that Derek Jacobi is the Master.
Yeah.
And then he regenerates and becomes John Sim. But and the little insectoid woman as well. Chandler. I know she annoys the hell out of some people, but I like the character. Yeah.
I think if she was in it a lot, maybe it'd be annoying, but
yeah. One episode's fine. Yeah.
I think it's like a hopeful episode as well. It's like, you know, end of the universe. We're all going to go to Utopia.
Yeah.
And we're all going to be free.
It turns out
it doesn't go amazingly well after.
We'll get into that later. Yeah. No, I'm sure there are things more I could think about if I sat here long enough. But seeing as we're just giving a capsule discussion of these things, I don't really. Is there anything else I really wanted to say about it? Just another really great, solid episode. Really, really is. So, anything you want to say? Or
I think that's about it.
Yeah. Okay then, so we're on your number 8 now.
My number 8 is The Impossible Planet and Satan's Pit.
Right, okay. Unfortunately, I've got that at number 23.
All right.
Again, this is contrary Carl.
Yeah.
I don't really care for it that much. It's got some bits of it that are really clever.
Yeah.
And really good. But as a solid, that's my take on it. So
Yeah.
what about it for you, then?
Well,
what makes it so great?
I think it's got a really great setting. Like, they're completely stranded alone. They're like going into they're stuck right in the orbit
right on the
of a black hole.
Yeah.
And, like, introducing the Ood for the first time. And there's a whole kind of, like, is it the devil or is it not the devil? Is the devil real kind of thing? It's like a question of faith in it as well.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
I always took it as you could theoretically have, because the Time Lords are ancient, you had other species, other aliens that were ancient, like uber ancient.
Yeah.
If there was a creature that looked like that, the beast, and then the story was retold through the generations across the galaxy and that to galaxies, you know, to other species, it ended up on Earth, and it became the foundation of the devil narrative in religion. So I kind of took it as that. Really, it could easily be that. And it just happened to be, it was a real thing, an alien creature.
Yeah, like it was like that, but it was also kind of like, you never know as well.
That's true, yeah.
Because the Doctor is kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like, the devil isn't real, but then he's like, but the devil might be real because this beast can do everything that the devil can do.
He's kind of out of the loop for one of the, it's one of those rare occasions where he's kind of out of the loop in terms of, he's got gaps in his knowledge, hasn't he? And and
it's got a good cast, the episode as well.
Oh yeah,
like all the characters are entertaining to watch and everything, and
it reminds me a bit like of Aliens, you know, when they're going through the air ducts.
Yeah,
because they're doing that, and that aren't they? Shutting down the oxygen so they can go to the next bit, you know. And it did remind me of that with the Marines when they were all, you know, trying to find their way through. Yeah, it's really good. The one of the things that does stick in my mind, which is really eerie and really creepy, is the devil tattoo thing.
Oh yeah.
On the, is it black eyes or red eyes? I
think it's red eyes. I
think. When it possesses them.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good, nice touch. That was very dark and adult for the time of the evening that it was on, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I mean, even though I put it at 23, but by no means is it a bad episode. You know? It's just there are just
better episodes,
so many more episodes that are so much better than it. But
I think as well as like a whole kind of, the Doctor's like impressed by them all, like you've gone to this place where you're probably gonna die just for discovery.
The cage thing, the lift thing as well, with the cable and all that. I thought that was a really clever. There's a lot of tension there, isn't there? A lot of building up the suspense of, you know, is he dead? You know. Yeah. And there looks a point there, doesn't there, where I keep calling her Billy, where Rose thinks that is it, he's gone,
and then they decide to climb down in the pit, and then he's like, the rope can't go anymore. He's like, I have no clue how deep this is.
So my number 8 is Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead.
I've got that ahead.
Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it for now then. Okay, we'll talk about it when we come to it. So your number 7 then?
My number 7 is The Waters of Mars.
We'll need to leave that one as well because it's higher for me. So so my number 7, so we can talk about it at this point now, is The Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords. Okay, so let's jump into that one then. So
it's a build up of the whole season really, because near most episodes there's some mention of Harold Saxon, and there's right through season 3, right there. Just, I think it's actually even mentioned in The Runaway Bride. It is, because they say, like, Harold Saxon orders to fire.
Open the tanks on the Arachnos ship. Yeah.
So there's, like, that massive build-up all season. Keep mentioning Harold Saxon. And then in, like, 42, which you hate, but in 42 when they're, like, listening in on Martha's calls and that, and Harold Saxon's people and everything, there's a massive build-up. And then it's like, turns out this Harold Saxon is the master.
Yeah.
And he's took control of everything, and I especially like the first part.
The first part is so much. I mean, there are things about the last part of that 3-parter, as I call it, as you call it as well,
Yeah.
which I really like. But that middle bit, that first part of this too,
It's amazing.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And without getting conspiratorial or anything like that, but I love the stuff with the mind control, the Archangel thing in it and all that, and how the BBC News puts up Captain Jack, the Doctor, and Martha as like
Public Enemies,
public
1, 2,
number.
and 3.
Yeah. They're calling them the T word, which you're not allowed to say on, and that for me is like, oh yeah, the BBC will just say whatever as long as they're told to say it, which is in that case is the case, isn't it? Because the Master has said they are public enemy number 1. The media doesn't question it; they just stick it straight on the news. So I got a lot from that and I loved the idea of like. This idea of perception, that if it's just slightly out of your perception range, that some people aren't open enough to picking it up, and that's kind of manifested in the TARDIS keys around. It's like a perception filter, like which is basically the same thing as what's around the TARDIS, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's chameleon circuit thing, So when they and I think it was Martha had said it's like I know you're there, but I don't want to see you. So that's kind of how it works, It's like kind of like, and they're doing that kind of thing. So, yeah, there's so many little great bits in that.
Yeah,
it really is. When they go and get Martha's mum and dad as well, and all that, arrest them and everything, and John Sim just chews up the scenery, doesn't he? On that,
yeah,
he's brilliant in it. He really is.
And then you think like, oh, we've got this plan. They're gonna stop the Master and that, and then right at the episode, it just goes like wrong in the absolute worst possible way that it could.
Yeah. And I think for the old school Doctor Who fans, which I consider myself one as well, I'm perhaps not quite as well informed about the old Doctor Who as I am sort of post 2005. You'll get the purists will say the Master is much more calculated and much more devious. This version of the Master is like that, but he's also a proper psychopath as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
But the way they get out of that is by saying it was what was done to him during the Time War.
Yeah.
Because it turned him into a proper nutcase, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he was there on the front line, weren't he?
Well,
the Doctor was as well, but
you find out in the end of time why he really is crazy with the drums and that. But...
Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to think. There's. So
in the second part as well, the third part, like it's a great Martha episode.
It's a brilliant Martha episode.
I think she's so underrated.
Yeah,
and you never hear
she's
people.
She's overlooked, isn't she? A lot.
You never hear people. People talk about Rose. They'll talk about Donna, but I think Martha's great.
Yeah. She is. Yeah. I think it's only just because my. In terms of favourites, which is what this is all about. We're choosing our favourites. It's not like these are the top 10 Doctor Who, These are just our favourites, in order, some are more favourite than others, But yeah, still, absolutely, definitely. It reminded me a bit of On the Run that they did in Children of Earth and Torchwood as well. It's a lot like that, dark, gritty.
Yeah.
I think the only thing for me that really lets it down, people talk about authenticity. That is it believable enough? That you can suspend your disbelief enough to keep watching and believing it. And the slip up with that is David Tennant's little what's that character from Harry Potter? Dobby. Dobby in the cage at the end. That I struggle with it, and it's let down a little bit by aged badly CGI now. I think. I
suppose though, there's not much
but,
you can.
You can't do anything about these things. I'm not going to criticise something just because it's old special. I love The Last Starfighter, which has got ancient CGI in it. So I'm not going to criticise something like that. But it's like, is this really where we've took the Doctor to now? And it more to the point. When they're all thinking about him and wishing him to, and he just suddenly turns back into David Tennant again, and I'm like, you're right on the edge of keeping me held there, but it doesn't go too far over the edge for me to say no, this is just too much. But
another thing that's good in it is the Toclafane and all that.
Yeah,
and then when you find out they're actually just all of the people that
little bit of trivia for you here, and I don't know if you knew this or not. It was originally going to be the Daleks.
What, the Daleks instead of the Toclafane?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was what it was.
It worked better as
because I think it's the horror that they're just people who had hope.
Yeah,
and
they far too much overuse the Daleks. They're nowhere near as menacing now as they used to be back. Certainly in the sort of pre-89 Doctor Who, when there was a proper menace to them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think you overuse them, stuff like the Daleks, and then they become less threatening.
Yeah. So using something like the Toclafane,
yeah,
because they are very much like innocent children, aren't they? Initially, when you think, and then it turns out to be such a tragedy. It's the last of humanity from Utopia, isn't it? That's yeah. Yes, that was their promised land, to be brought back through some sort of weird paradox. That's a great idea as well. As a paradox machine with turning the TARDIS into a paradox machine, and I'm just trying to think of there's so many. Then the ending as well, like he just refuses to let the Doctor win by dying. He just dies. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay then, so your number 6.
My number 6 is The Girl in the Fireplace.
Right. Okay. This is Contrary Carl again.
Yeah.
I don't care for this episode at all.
Do you not?
It's number 28.
Oh, number 28
out of 37 for me. Yeah.
Wow.
People rave about this episode. And they say it's a classic. It just doesn't do it for me,
doesn't it?
Just don't know what it is. Sometimes you just don't catch with the story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really buy into this idea that the Doctor would fall in love with somebody, and I'm sure he has. And other examples. But I like to think of the Doctor as being sort of non-sexual, sort of romantic.
Yeah.
They've obviously just thrown out the window, apparently, as time of this recording with the Doctor. So I much prefer, how Matt Smith used to do it. Like when he was being snogged by, and he's like an awkward child, just like kind of going, oh ding dong, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now. It's like sort of like stupidity, childlike, and maybe that was the thing with. David Tennant, because he did it again in the 50th, didn't he, with Queen Elizabeth, was it? So he married her and all that. But I think that was a callback to it was mentioned earlier in the series, wasn't it, that he married Queen Elizabeth?
Yeah, I think so.
So anyway, that's really all I'm going to say on it. So let's get into why you like it.
I think it's great. I think it is a beautiful and tragic story, in my opinion. It's two people who wish to be together and cannot be. And I think the clockwork.
I like that.
Robots are really cool as well.
I do like that about it.
And I think the setting of it's quite good as well, having it in like that French period.
Yeah.
And then the spaceship as well.
I think for me, it's just a case of there's lots of. It's not. It's just there's lots of really good ideas there, but for me as a whole, they kind of don't work together. And I think if they were their own episodes, it probably would work better for me. And like I say, I've got that biased about what the Doctor should be in terms of falling in love. But like you say, that idea of how they can't be together, that's a really clever idea.
Yeah.
I just wish it wasn't a romantic story. But I suppose really you could argue then, well, it wouldn't really work if it wasn't a romantic story. So,
I don't think it would.
Yeah.
I think if they were just friends, I don't think it'd work. I think it has to be that.
Yeah. I often thought it would have worked better as the companion fall in love with somebody, but then of course that wouldn't have worked then because Rose has got Mickey with him on the ship at the time.
Yeah, they were together.
And even though they weren't, they was kind of like not sort of coming to the end of their relationship at that point, weren't they? Really, sort of. They were coming apart a little bit, weren't they? So but even so, I don't think it would have worked. And then you could argue that maybe it doesn't have the same level of gravitas if it's the companion rather than because that's one of my biggest problems with season 8 of Doctor Who is the Clara and Danny Pink.
Yeah,
I mean I like the character Danny Pink, but I just don't buy that relationship thing. It seems quite contrived, so maybe it doesn't work as well with a companion.
I think it works so well is because it's like the Doctor's like 900 years old. and he doesn't really fall in love and that.
It doesn't fall in easy, and it does add a nice dimension to him.
I think the fact that he does,
Yeah.
and like the tragic end is like, oh, back in 2 minutes, and then the fireplace changes and she's already died. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he also basically at one point like gives up the TARDIS and everything to get to save her. Like when he jumps through the mirror with the horse.
There's
and that.
lots of really good bits in it. I like that bit with the horse through the mirror. Yeah. There are lots of really good ideas in it. I tend to find sometimes that happens with Stephen Moffat, where he's got, oh, this is a cool idea, this is a cool idea, this is a cool idea. I want them all, and then I'll build a kind of a story around it. Sometimes it works really, really well, and then sometimes for me it doesn't. It's one of those ones that But I'm glad, for any of yourself and anybody else out there who watches it, it's, if they, whatever floats your boat, if you like it, then that's, if we all like the same things, then the world would be a very boring place.
It certainly would.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about it?
I think that's about everything.
Okay then. So my number 6 is Army of Ghosts and Doomsday.
Now, that is...
I imagine he's higher for you.
11th.
11? Okay, right. Okay, so we'll have to talk about it then before we move on.
I think it's a great episode.
Okay.
But I just think the others ahead of it are a little bit better.
So I'm going to probably contradict myself now after everything we've just said about the girl in the fireplace, because there is so much that's great about this. But the key standout for me is the end on the beach. And I know that's sacrilege for some people, for the same reason I've just said that about the girl in the fireplace. But the difference there is it's an unrequited love. Rose loves him. And I suppose he does love her, but it's a different kind of love.
Yeah.
It's kind of like not romantic as such. It's that's what I always took from it anyway, that it was more of
See, I always thought that too.
He cared about her and he didn't want any harm to come to her. And
I think after rewatching it though, I think he did love her too. Because the very last thing he says was he was sort of like, well, this is my last chance to say it.
He was going to say it.
He was going to say that he loved her.
But I always felt, and it'd be interesting to see if people comment, I'd be interested to see what people think actually, whether they agree with me or disagree with me on this one. But I always felt like he was saying it because he wanted to try and help her feel a bit better.
Yeah.
That he knew that she needed to hear it from him.
Yeah. So
did he really mean it? Was he just saying it because she needed to hear it? Because it was the last time she was going to see... Well, at that point, it was the last time she was going to see him. Yeah. So I wonder whether that... I kind of always felt like... Because he said, I suppose, seeing as it's the last time I'm going to say it, so see you. If it wasn't, would he have said it?
Maybe not.
Yeah. It got some great stuff in it, though. I mean, fantastic. I mean, it was a wet dream for Doctor Who fans, Daleks and the Cybermen against each other. It never happened before. So, I mean, seeing them go up against each other.
But before that, I love the mystery in the first part.
Yeah, the ghosts and all that.
There's the ghosts and then the Sophia. The Sophia? Can't fucking talk, I'm illiterate. The Sphere.
Yeah.
The ghosts and the Sphere. And
loads of really good touches there with the Sphere, and the fact that Mickey's working as a lab technician there, takes him by the eye. He's like hiding in the background.
And then he when the Doctor accidentally pulls Jackie out instead of Rose.
As his companion. Yeah. What did he say? Something about she was even in the time vortex and looked into the time vortex
and she aged.
It's great. I mean, that whole dynamic with Rose, Mom, Mickey, it works so well.
It does.
They're a great family, a great setup. That really is that. You can see why it became so popular at that point in time. Yeah. And they tried to emulate it a bit in other things. You could argue that maybe it didn't work quite so well, like Martha's Family. Although it did, it was written well.
Martha's Family
had the impact as Rose's mom.
They weren't quite as developed, Martha's Family.
Yeah, that's the problem. Had they have had more time, because Rose obviously had 2 seasons. And
Martha only had one.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. There's so many things about it that I love. I love the, Grandad Prentice, is it? She calls him something like that. He's coming back to, he's in the kitchen, and all that. And the ghost of Den Watson in the Vic on the television in EastEnders and all that, because they're all got ghosts around them all the time. It's just become like the norm, hasn't it? Yeah. And the mystery of it, and then it turns out to be the Cybermen pushing through from the other side, and that scene when the barrier's closed. she's the other side of it against the wall,
Yeah.
and he's the other side of it, and that, and yeah. And I can never remember the name of the actress, but the woman who plays the head of Torchwood as well.
Oh yeah, she's really good
in it.
Yeah.
Rose's dad's back again, Pete Tyler again. You know, from the Cyberman two-parter.
Yeah.
Earlier in season 2 and Father's Day as well. Another great actor. You know, some really good actors in it and some really good, great stuff. It really is brilliant two-parter. But again, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I think, had there have not been later seasons, people probably would have rated it higher because there would have been less to choose from.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, as you go on, there's more gems, isn't there? When I did my picking of all of the episodes across them, it pushed this one way down. Because you've got all the best ones of Matt Smith, the best ones of David Tennant, Capaldi, Eccleston as well. So, but
I mean, if other episodes didn't exist, this could have easily been way higher for me.
Yeah. Okay then, so I think that's a good point where we'll pause. Please come back and watch our part 2 because we're gonna carry on. We're gonna go into our top 5.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be a very long video if we don't split it in half. So I will just say thanks for coming back, Dan. It's been great. It's been a long time. Hasn't it? It's about 18 months, I think, since the last time we recorded.
I think so.
Together, yeah. Please like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. And Dan and I will see you in part 2. Bye-bye for now.